Ni Africa House Koinange Lane off Koinange Street.
Na ukiendelea kumfuata kwa fujo Lea, nasikitika hapa patakalika, utampoteza Maya.
Mama, mbona wanishtua? Kuna tatizo?
Tatizo lipo baba.
Nilikulaumu sana. Kama sio wewe Faraja singekuwa vile alivyo sasa.
Mtoto alali usiku kucha. Usiku mimi silali, mchana ndo tabu kabisa.
Situation yako na yangu ziko sawa. Wewe pambana na babako na mimi nitaanza kupambana na mamangu.
Good evening to you, and we really appreciate that you created time to catch the latest on Prime Edition tonight, being the 12th day of the month of January, the year 2022, a day when Education CS Professor George Magoha is giving an assurance that the country's journey to implementing the competency-based curriculum is on course, with the political drum beats also getting louder in the country. George Natembea choosing to dance to the tune, resigning from his position as the Rift Valley Regional Commissioner. We got details about this and other stories contained in our comprehensive news bulletin that begins right now. But first, these are our top stories.
Kuitikia mwito wananchi wa Trans Nzoia kwamba wangependa wahudumie kama governor.
Calling it a day, Rift Valley Regional Coordinator George Natembea quits to venture into politics. The wait has been long. Government direct contractor undertaking the construction of Ronald Gala Utalii College in Kilifi to expedite work.
We are going to liberate our country this year by making sure that we get rid of an economic model.
And standing firm, Deputy President William Ruto says scare tactics will not derail his quest in the August election. And we begin straight away. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Serfine Achieng and our sign language interpreter tonight is Anne Wangeshi. Those of you asking about John Jacob Kiria, he's still away on assignment, but he will be joining us soon. Now, moving on, Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembea has quit to join politics. Natembea becomes the first high-ranking public servant to resign and venture into politics, even before the 9th February set deadline. Natembea is eyeing to replace Patrick Haemba as the governor of Trans Nzoia County in the August 9th election.
Rift Valley Regional Commissioner George Natembea has resigned, ending his 25-year stint in the security docket. Speaking in Nakuru County, Natembea announced that he was quitting to concentrate on his campaigns with eyes on the Trans Nzoia gubernatorial seat.
Nikijitayarisha kwenda kule Trans Nzoia kuitikia mwito wananchi wa Trans Nzoia kwamba wangependa wahudumie kama governor wa huko, mwito ambao nimeitikia ili hii experience yote ambayo nimepata kwa national government niende kuipeleka kule kwa county government kuweza kusaidia wakazi wale wa Trans Nzoia. So wale ambao walikuwa nasema wanatembea toa uniform, Natembea ametoa uniform na anakuja kimeumana.
Natembea, who prided himself as having had a prolific career over the past 25 years, says he'll use his experience on leadership to serve the Trans Nzoia County.
But I don't regret anything. Everything I've done, let me tell you, katika hii kazi, I don't regret one bit. Because normally it's after consultations and we are agreed. Then now I go and implement it in the way I know how. And that's why I've never been reprimanded by my boss. So we are agreed kwamba tufika pale tutaweka pesa ya kutosha ku create alternative sources of employment. Mama akipewa pesa, akipewa capital, ataondoa mambo ya changa will just die a natural death. Awe zangu watakubali. Tumekuwa tunamwaga changa, but tumemwaga changa miaka mingapi? Tumemwaga na haikuishi. So we need alternatives. Wala ambao wanapika changa tuwatafutie mambo mengine ya kufanya. Kwa hivyo is a full plate. Kule Trans Nzoia is a full plate. Na mimi nimesema naenda provide servant leadership. Sasa ikuwa mdosi, kama nikuwa mdosi lazima ni mdosi.
But as Natembea exits his coveted office, those who have differed with his administration style are daring him for a bruising duel.
Sisi tuko na ile experience ambayo ya kufanya kazi ya utenda kazi ambayo ni nzuri, ambayo tunataka kuipeleka kule. Unajua watu ukiangalia siasa wanasema ati politics is a dirty game, isn't it? Siasa sio chafu, ni wanasiasa ndio wachafu.
Anadanganya watu na hiyo ulimi wake, kusema anaongea maneno hivi, lakini behind hiyo ulimi ni dictator. Na naomba kwamba watu wa Trans Nzoia wasiweze kumchagua. Na mimi mwenyewe nitaenda huko. Mimi nitaenda kama mkaaji wa Rift Valley, kama neighbor, nitaenda kufanya campaign ili kusudi huyo mzee atembee akitembeanga hivyo, aende akiendanga.
So far, he is the first high-ranking government official to resign before the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission deadline of the 9th of February, when public servants who want to venture in politics are required to have resigned. For Prime Edition, I'm Gladys Sumungai.
All right, thank you, Gladys. And the journey begins for George Natembea. Let's also look at what Deputy President William Ruto was up to. Deputy President William Ruto has asked his opponents to stop employing threats and intimidation to advance their agenda. Speaking in Nairobi, Ruto warned his opponents that scare tactics will have no bearing in the August polls. Timothy Kipnusu with the details.
Deputy President William Ruto pitched camp in Nairobi County on Wednesday to advance his bottom-up economic model campaign. Ruto, who toured Kamukunji, Mathare, Embakasi North, Embakasi West and Embakasi Central, warned leaders against causing tension amongst Kenyans ahead of the August polls.
We are not going to buy blackmail and intimidation. We are going to liberate our country this year by making sure that we get rid of an economic model that empowers few people and come up with the bottom-up economic model that will give every citizen a chance to be their best in this nation called Kenya.
He said time has come for Kenyans to make their own choice, urging them to reject leaders who do not meet the threshold. Ruto said if elected president, he will create a conducive environment for business to thrive for the jobless Kenyans.
Model ya uchumi ambayo inapanga pesa ya biashara kwa hawa watu wa chini hawa kwanza, na ambayo inahakikisha ya kwamba chakula inapatikana kwa bei nafuu, ndio kila mmoja wetu aweze kulisha familia yake. Na wauliza watu wa Nairobi, mnasema tuendelee kungojea ile inatoka juu, hatujui itafika lini, ama tubadilishe tuanze na chini?
He said his government will set aside 50 billion shillings to boost businesses for Kenyans.
Na tuweke hiyo pesa kwa kupatia wafanyabiashara wafanye biashara, na tutengeneze sheria ya kulinda biashara ya kila mtu. Hapa ni kama kule kwetu, kila mtu anasema uchaguzi ujao ni katikati ya kitendawili na hasola. Mko kwa kitendawili ama mko kwa hasola?
Serikali ambayo haina kabila, serikali ambayo haibagui Msomali kutoka Mkikuyu, serikali ambayo inaangalia maslahi ya kila mtu.
The race to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta is gathering momentum 210 days to the election, with the Deputy President William Ruto wooing and cementing 5 constituency of Nairobi County, selling his bottom-up economic model, saying it is the best bet yet for Kenya. Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition, Nairobi.
All right, thank you, Kipnusu. Moving away from that, a section of Wiper Democratic Movement Party county-level leaders has dismissed claims of jumping ship to join Raila Odinga's Azimio la Umoja movement. The leaders say that Wiper and the One Kenya Alliance were still intact, even as they downplayed the meeting held in Machakos by 3 Lower Eastern Region governors.
The Wiper Democratic county-level leaders, led by Makueni Senator Mustula Kilonzo Jr., have dismissed claims of Wiper joining the Raila Odinga-led Azimio la Umoja movement.
We have just seen, just like you, the meeting in Machakos. The second portion of your question is yes, the governors have been invited to the Yatta meeting. And the last one, the answer is no. We have seen the rumors circulating that either the party leader of Wiper is going to quit the presidential race or is going to join Azimio. Those sort of things are not part and parcel of why we have called for that meeting and why we are going to meet. Thank you.
The leaders are saying that their candidate Kalonzo Musyoka was still in the race to the country's top seat in the August general elections. They have further dismissed the meeting in Machakos County by Governor Alfred Mutua, Charity Ngilu of Kitui and their Makueni counterpart Kivutha Kibwana, saying that Kalonzo Musyoka still commanded masses in the eastern region.
We are preparing documents that will give rise to the determination who the flag bearer is going to be and also the coalition instruments.
To know that we are not just to go anywhere because kuna mtu amesemekana akienda mbele wale wengine watafuata. Each one of us is important and we have to sit down and talk about what is on the table for our people.
Mkutano unaoitwa kwa nyumba ya mtu, that is not a political meeting of leaders. Hiyo ni New Year's party. Ni watu wanasherehekea mwaka mpya. Kwa sababu ni mkutano unasema wewe kuja wewe usikuje, si ndio? Kwa hivyo sisi hatushiriki na mambo ya People's Party ya kusherehekea bash ya New Year's. Sisi tunataka a serious meeting.
Meanwhile, members of Democratic Action Party of Kenya have urged Kenyans to reject political parties sowing seeds of discord among Kenyans.
As a party, we stand for unity. I said we stand for unity, and we stressed the fact that under Azimio la Umoja, our agenda number 1 is to see the election of Raila Amolo Odinga as the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya.
Na sisi hatuna Kenya nyingine isipokuwa hii. So we will not accept a language that will take us back to where we came from in 2007-2008.
This, as a section of women leaders under the umbrella of African Women Leaders Network, condemned the inflammatory utterances made by a section of the political class in the recent political gatherings.
Kenyans cannot afford to have politicians employ inflammatory language or whip ethnic tensions. We remind our people that whenever political violence erupts, it is women, children, elderly, and persons with disabilities, among other vulnerable categories of society, who suffer most. They bear the brunt.
Now, moving on, away from politics, the government has admitted to delayed exchequer funds allocated for the completion of several government projects at the coast. The National Development Implementation Technical Committee has attributed the hiccup to dried up coffers due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Karanja Kibisho-led committee maintains it has been forced to go back to the drawing board to ensure most development projects that had stalled for the last 2 years have initial budgets reallocated. Our reporter Junei Karisa joined the team as it wrapped up its second day inspection tour in Mombasa, Kwale and Kilifi counties and filed the following report.
Day 2 of the inspection tour of over 40 principal secretaries led by Interior PS Karanja Kibicho prioritized their visit in Kwale and Kilifi counties. It is at the Utalii College in Kilifi County where Kibicho underscored the need of the contractor awarded the 4.9 billion shillings tender to expedite the construction works.
We are at 71%. You have seen some of these buildings are just about to get completed, and then we embark on the external landscaping work.
The iconic college, sitting on 59 acres of land, whose construction started in 2013, was set to be completed in June 2019, but that is yet to materialize.
We have decided as government to do phased completion of this project that will admit most likely early next year or late this year the first batch of 250 students.
The team would later proceed to Mama Ngina Girls High School construction site where 71% of the works is complete. The 200 million shillings institution will be ready to admit its pioneer students by August this year. In the neighboring Kwale County, Water and Sanitation PS Joseph Irungu led 11 PSs in traversing Msambweni and Lungalunga constituencies. After a brief stopover at the Wa Girls High School, the team proceeded to Mwachande Msambweni constituency to rewrite history for the locals. In 2015, floods swept off the pre-colonial bridge, leaving the residents in despair, forcing them to erect a makeshift bridge that had disadvantaged them to death.
Kutoka Lungalunga mpaka Kongowea kupeleka mazao yetu ni ngumu sana, hasa wakati wa mvua.
Utabu tunaipata sisi anayejua ni Mungu. Hata mtu kiangalia hapo chini, huo nini uringo tunafukia hapo ni hatari, watu wanaanguka hapo, wanaumia mbavu hapo.
Wiki mbili zilizoisha, palikuwa na maji watoto walishindwa kuvuka kwenda shule.
And today, the team officiated the groundbreaking of the construction of 548 million shillings, a 50-meter bridge set for completion in 2 years' time.
Tumesikia kilio pia kwa sababu wananchi wanataka huu mradi ukwishe kwa mwaka moja na tutapeleka hicho kilio kwa kamati yetu.
Miles away at the Funzi Bridge, the contractor says the project halted since the onset of the pandemic. A contractor is yet to be awarded for the construction of the Shimoni fish landing site, which once completed will open up the locale for economic gains.
Ulisikia MD wa KPA akisema kuna pesa more than $1 billion Kenya shillings za kufanya hiyo kazi, lakini sasa mpaka contract ndio atajua ni muda gani itachukua, lakini tunakusudia huo mradi vile alituambia huwezi enda zaidi ya miaka 2.
The construction of the Vanga Shimoni Road in Lungalunga constituency stands at 90% completion as only 800 meters and a bridge awaits the exchequer allocation.
Tutaweza prioritize ndio tuone ni gani ambayo inaweza kama ile niko karibu kuisha kama hii imalizwe.
The government has admitted a delay in disbursement of funds and promised to turn the tides.
Kipindi cha corona mnajua serikali haingeweza kupata fedha zote ambazo ilikuwa imekusudia. Kwa hivyo ndio naona kuna changamoto.
Kuja hapa kwa PS ni ile kusisitiza ya kwamba lazima miradi ambayo serikali imeanzisha imalizike. Na mahali kuna maneno tunaweza kukwamua.
There is no doubt that the fruition of this particular tour will realize the development agenda of the coastal region. Juni Karisa Mbele for the Prime Edition from Shimoni, Kwale County.
Now, on to matters education. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has said that the national examinations will be ready by March this year. And as Beatrice Ketonyenge reports, the CS further gave an assurance that the ministry has put in place firm structures for a smooth transition after the August polls.
The Education Cabinet Secretary was at Muturi Girls High School in Kirinyaga County to lay the foundation stone of the construction of the new CBC classrooms. Professor Magoha saying construction of competence-based curriculum CBC 5,200 classrooms under phase 1 will be ready by March this year. He said all the construction should be completed before the beginning of the national exams.
So that as we start the exams, as our children start the exams, we do not want anybody in school, as is the rule. This will accomplish the first phase of the 5,200 classrooms countrywide. There are construction going on across the whole nation. I've been to the Rift Valley region, to Western, to Nyanza. I have an officer in the northern region called Dwale. There I've seen many buildings at roofing and lintel stage there. So this is a job that we are going to accomplish.
The CES ordered all the contractors undertaking construction of competence-based curriculum classrooms around the country to ensure they adhere to March deadline. Magoha at the same time said all is ready in education sector for a smooth transition after the August general election.
To ensure that there is a smooth transition as far as education is concerned. And this is why we are going to make sure that even the exams that will take place in December are ready and can be given. They'll be ready by the end of next month.
This as the ministry plans to unveil first complete set of CBC classrooms in Ugunja, Siaya County, tomorrow Thursday. Beatrice Gatonyangetich, Prime Edition.
All right, and that report from the education sector takes us to our first break. Let me appreciate Pius Oyugi from Garissa County. You're watching us with your colleagues. An amazing job you're doing there to keep us all safe. We appreciate you for choosing Prime Edition tonight. We are taking a short break. We will be back with much more. Caroline Jenga will be bringing you the latest in the world of business, and later Richard Munga with the sports. Don't go too far.
Beacon Furnitures Limited. We're local manufacturers of quality office furniture, dealers in quality office equipment like fireproof safes and cabinets. Our automated state-of-the-art factories at Henna House along Enterprise Road in Nairobi's industrial area. Our showroom is at Uniafric House, Koinange Lane off Koinange Street. We are passionate believers in locally manufactured goods. When you and I buy locally made furniture, we impact on the livelihoods of our brothers and sisters. For orders, visit our showroom at Uniafric House, Koinange Lane off Koinange Street. Beacon Furnitures Limited. Jenga Kenya, tupate ajira.
I got you, baby.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Let me take you now through the COVID numbers in the country. The coronavirus infection rate on Wednesday dropped to 13.5% from 15.9% Tuesday, with the country confirming 813 new cases out of the 6,005 samples tested in the last 24 hours. The total confirmed positive cases now stand at 314,490 and cumulative tests so far are 3,117,409. Unfortunately, 7 patients succumbed to the disease, all of them being late deaths reported after conducting facility record audits in the months of September 2021 and January 2022. This now pushes the cumulative fatalities to 5,469. Globally, there are over 300 million confirmed cases and over 5 million deaths from the virus. Now moving on to Baringo County, Kabarnet High Court has handed a 60-year-old Haron Cherono a life sentence after he was found guilty of defiling a standard 3-year-old girl. The incident caused her death in July last year. Kabarnet High Court Chief Magistrate Judy Wanjala found Haron Cherono guilty of manslaughter as per Section 205 of the Penal Code. Purity Museo with details.
The life of the young Michelle Jematai was cruelly cut short sometime in July last year by her uncle. The 10-year-old girl died of a sexual abuse-related illness at Kabarnet Sunrise Children's Home in Baringo Central on July 24, 2021, after falling ill as a result of a rape ordeal. According to medics at the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital in Eldoret, where she was attended to before being discharged, the infection later caused bacterial and viral infections in her reproductive system, leading to her death. But justice has finally prevailed. Her defiler, the 60-year-old Haron Cherono, has been handed life imprisonment. Kabarnet Chief Magistrate Judy Wanjala found the accused guilty of manslaughter.
The convict is sentenced to life imprisonment. Considered they had raised by the prosecution on behalf of the state and the victim and the address of the law.
In her ruling, Wanjala said she took into consideration the circumstances under which the crime was committed.
The victim was aged 10 years and it is indicated that her death resulted from a defilement when she was aged 10 years, and under Section 8(1) of the Sexual Offences Act, had she lived, the accused would have been charged with defilement, which also attracts the offence, the sentence of life imprisonment.
She added that the age of the victim was also a matter of public interest.
This was not just for Michelle. Michelle is not here. The sentence will not bring Michelle back. But one thing we believe is that the sentence has spoken life in the millions of Kenyan children.
This is the first time, surely, ninafurahi sana. Ninashukuru. Hii koti ya Kabarnet. In fact, hata leo nitalala. Kila siku sikuwa nalala juu ya Michelle. And at least leo nitalala. Maana hata Mungu amesikia. Amesikia kilio ya Michelle.
Until her death, she was in Standard 3. Purity Museo, Prime Edition.
All right, such a relief for the family. Now, staying on the court matters, the Law Society of Kenya Branch Chairs Caucus has taken over the affairs of the council for the remainder of the term that ends this March. This is after the council failed to convene a meeting within 21 days as directed by Justice Anthony Mrima. The caucus will hold its first meeting at the LSK Secretariat offices on Thursday, the 13th.
The new sheriff in town at the Law Society of Kenya Secretariat offices is the Law Society of Kenya branch chair's caucus. This comes after the council failed to comply with the orders by Justice Anthony Mrima to convene a meeting within 21 days that lapsed on the 10th of January. The members of the council will now not be able to conduct or deal with any affairs of the Law Society of Kenya in their respective capacities as members of the council. However, Mercy Wambua, who was the chief executive officer and secretary, will remain as an employee of the society. The branch chair caucus leadership is led by Linda Kiomi, as the caucus chair takes over all responsibilities of the LSK president Nelson Harvey. The caucus has resolved to hold its first meeting at the LSK secretariat offices on the Thursday the 13th. Meanwhile, it's a reprieve for the lawyers as the High Court stops further implementation of Sections 2C and 14B of the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Amendment Act 2021, which requires lawyers to report their clients' transactions to the state. Justice James Makau also enjoined the LSK Nairobi branch and the National Assembly as interested parties. The case will be mentioned on the 22nd of February. Finally, a Kenyan, Waskan Dombi Makoha, has been charged for being in possession of a firearm without a valid firearm certificate. It's alleged that on the 11th of January 2021, at Gikomba Light Industries in Nairobi County, Waskan was found in possession of a firearm Mexesca pistol. He was granted a bond of 500,000 Kenyan shillings and a cash bail of 300,000 Kenyan shillings. The case will be mentioned on the 2nd of February. Serfine for Prime Edition.
Now, news from the counties will begin in Kakamega. Traders at the Mumias market accounting losses worth millions of shillings after fire razed their property on Tuesday night. Elsewhere, a family at the London estate in Narok town is looking for their 14-year-old class 7 pupil who went missing 4 weeks ago. This and more stories in news making headlines in the counties.
The family of Sylvester Lomo and Millicent Okoth, who are casual workers in Narok town, said their son Gabriel Anthony, who is a class 7 pupil at Almashariani Primary School, did not return back home from school on December 6, 2021.
Sasa tarehe 6 mtoto alienda shule, mimi nikaenda kazi. Kutoka kazi jioni, mama yake akania, hata ni watoto waliniambia Gabriel hajafika. Nikamwambia hajafika aje na anakujanga mapema. Ndio mama yake akaniambia kuna mtoto ameleta bag hapa. Ati Gabriel alitoka shule. Hata kitu saa 4 alitoka shule. Akasema ati mwalimu ndiye kumtuma.
Mtoto akipotea kwa mkono ya walimu, ni walimu wanafaa kureact ama ni mzazi peke yake? Ni mtoto, mimi ninakuwa na mtoto usiku, mchana wanakuwa na mtoto. Sisi wote ni wazazi. Basi mzazi anafaa kufanya nini kama mtoto amepotea shule? Anafaa kunyamaza.
Elsewhere, a man who allegedly killed his 7 months pregnant wife will remain in police custody for 2 weeks, according to Kisii Senior Resident Magistrate Paul Mutai. Lucas Bosire, the middle-aged suspect from Igonga in Kisii South Sub-County, allegedly hit his wife Evelyn Kerubo with a tree blank from the back of the head, killing her on the spot during a domestic quarrel. And more than 30 traders at the Mumias market in Kakamega County are counting losses after a fire razed down their property. The cause of the Tuesday night fire is yet to be established.
Tulijaribu kupika simu kwa gavana wetu, gari tukaambiwa bado hazina maji. So hizo gari ziliingia hapa kitu saa 5. Kama mtu ameshunga ameshatusimishia hizo moto.
Elsewhere, drama ensued at the Kirinyaga University when the institution's Vice-Chancellor Professor Wairimu Ndungu stormed out of a meeting organized by the top university's academic staff union UASU.
The level of arrogance exhibited by Professor has not been seen by the union anywhere. This is an institution where members of academic staff are being forced to teach 7 units in a semester.
Finally, members of the Murang'a Bar Owners Association have raised concerns over what they claimed as an increase in selling of counterfeit brews in the county.
We shall join with other groups, including churches, lawmakers, the police, administration, and other government agencies to eliminate this malice. We shall publish and shame any of our members involved and remove him or her from our association.
In Murang'a County, we don't have a retail wines and spirit license. The only license we have is a wholesale, and if there is anyone who is operating a wines and spirit as a retail, I think that is a mistake. You need to close that shop, and probably if you don't, we may close it and take up that license.
Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
All right, and now to our weekly feature, Cinemas and Theatre. Tonight, our reporter Jacqueline Masharia reviews the film Baba Twins. Take a look.
Once, uko na ball.
Baba Twins is a comedy drama that follows a young carefree airline hostess called Worms who is thrust into motherhood and has to raise twins. On the other hand, Tony, her socialite baby daddy, is a bachelor struggling to balance his public image and his ambitions when he becomes the unlikely father to the twins.
The Mzuka Super Drive with your boy, Tony Kiwo.
Worms is forced to navigate through her nanny drama and Tony, her socialite baby daddy, who is not ready to be a dad.
No, toy. You got this.
Starring Violeta Ngina, who plays the character Worms, and Maurice Mwangi, who plays the character Tony, Baba Twins drama seeks to educate and entertain the audience.
We had auditions and we were essentially looking for a new face. He showed up, we auditioned, and I said, I love her. Have you been on TV before? She said she mostly hosts events and she had hosted a show in our channel a while back, but she had never acted. She didn't have any acting experience, and I was excited. So it was not as hard to convince now our client to take a chance on this person because her audition was really good. And the same thing with Tony, who played Baba Twins. I mean, he's an amazing actor. I've seen him in a lot of shows. So he has been in a lot of shows, but he has not been on every show. So for me, that was a selling point for Tony, and he was amazing in terms of what he fed us. He fed the character of Tony. So the others, we got a few cameos because again, it being a film, we needed that sort of publicity on social media. So we got a few cameos to give us that push, but the core cast, we really tried to go with a known person.
Baba Twins is produced by Lucy Mwangi through her production company Moonbeams Productions, which is credited with award-winning comedy TV shows.
Set out to do Baba Twins as a series, so we were going to pitch it as a TV series, and then when we sat with the writers and we started developing the series, and we wanted to tell, actually it was called Mama Twins because we wanted to tell the story of a young mom who has to raise multiples. But then as the story developed, we realized that the journey of motherhood has been told over and over again. Like, there's nothing new in a mom who's struggling to raise kids. So when this story evolved, then we moved it from being a Mama Twins kind of story to focus it on Baba Twins because we felt now that would give us a unique angle into parenting.
Having been a producer of different TV shows, Lucy noted that producing a movie was completely different to producing the normal TV shows.
I realized that I needed to get a different cinematographer for the film, someone who had the experience, because how everything is done is so different from how we will film and shoot for TV. So in terms of technical, even the equipment we had to use were very different from what we do use when we're doing our TV series. The movie we shot, like the timeline in the film is 2 years. So how do we keep that in terms of even continuity?
Lucy describes her first foray into film production as a huge responsibility that has made her face her fears head-on.
currently a lot of the content that we're producing is going on the paid for platforms because there's just no demand on free to air for local content, which just makes me very sad because what has happened in my opinion is that we do not, or the policymakers really have not quite appreciated the importance of what we call, I don't think we have a film industry, maybe we have a sector of what we have in the film, or the potential of the film industry.
Thank you. All right, let's go.
We have a few associations that are sort of trying to streamline, even just streamlining the industries, because for a very long time, producers, we've operated on a solo kind of thingy, like it's mine, it's my business, it's my company. As long as I have a production going on me, I'm good. Whereas a few years ago, we would view each other as competitors. Now we are looking at each other as collaborators. So there's a lot of that is happening in the industries where producers are able to work together.
Baba Twins is the first Showmax original film in Kenya, another significant step for Showmax and for Lucy, who's looking to replicate her TV success. Jacqueline Masharia for Cinemas and Theatre.
Great piece there by Jacqueline Masharia. It's actually a weekly feature that we will be bringing your way every week on Wednesday right here on Prime Edition, so you can catch it and learn more about local talent as we seek to support and promote local talent in Kenya. Now, we are going to be taking a very short break. We are coming back with much more Matters Business, Matters Sports coming your way in just a bit. Please don't go too far.
Ili kupata skiza tune hii ya Bariki, mpiga simu bonyeza *811 963 hash.
Baraka zinapowaendea watu, Mungu ninakuomba umbariki huyu ambaye anapiga simu, umbariki na hata umuinue, umufungulie njia yake, aende ainuliwe na kuwe mtu ambaye ni wa kuinuliwa. Ninapoenda kuipokea, Mungu fika mbele yake.
Ili kupata skiza tune hiyo ya Bariki, mpiga simu bonyeza *811 963 hash, *811 963 hash.
Well, thank you for joining us as we tell you the latest in the world of business. My name is Carol Jenger. Now, most tourists have been handed a temporary reprieve after the High Court suspended implementation of the increased motor insurance premiums that were effected early this month. Justice James Makau has also suspended implementation of a decision by insurance companies not to offer comprehensive insurance cover to motor vehicles that are old than 12 years or whose value is less than 600,000 shillings until the case is heard and determined.
Kenyan Human Rights Commission in its submission also termed the move as a violation of consumer rights, accusing the insurance regulator of failing to protect the public from such increase. The High Court has suspended an increase in motor insurance premiums that was implemented by insurance from beginning of this month that saw the rate increase by as much as 50%. The High Court also suspended the decision by the underwriters not to offer comprehensive cover to motor vehicles older than 12 years or those that have a value of less than 600,000 shillings. While issuing the orders, Justice James Makau said the suspension was necessary since the case filed by the Kenyan Human Rights Commission had chances of success owing to issues raised in the petition. The Kenyan Human Rights Commission moved to court to challenge the increase, saying the increase in motor insurance premiums was illegal since they lacked public participation. Kenyan Human Rights Commission in its submission also termed the move as a violation of consumer rights, accusing the insurance regulator of failing to protect the public from such increase. Insurance companies said the price increase were to cover losses they have been incurring in recent years by the motor insurance category of insurance. The insurance claimed the number of claims had exceeded their total premium collections due to an increase in the number of motor vehicle accidents. Data from the Insurance Regulatory Authority indicates industry losses in the motor category of insurance widened to 4.8 billion shillings, representing a 120% increase from the previous year. Commercial motor vehicle losses rose by 87% to 2.5 billion shillings in the year under review. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala is calling on the private sector to step up investments in tourist attraction sites in arid and semi-arid areas. The Cabinet Secretary says public-private partnership is effective in tackling poor infrastructure and low accommodation facilities that hamper tourism activities in arid and semi-arid areas.
As the tourism sector postures for recovery from COVID disruptions, hospitality industry players are operating in arid and semi-arid areas are crying foul over the poor road infrastructure and lack of accommodation facilities that discourage tourists from visiting their facilities.
And that's why we need private investment to come in, not only government investment. But definitely, as I confirmed today, the Ministry of Energy has confirmed in the next week or so, they will bring people here to install electricity in this village or in this area, because it is becoming a world famous touristic destination. That is the benefit of tourism.
Speaking during the handover ceremony for the best tourism village in Olgasailev, Kajiado County, Tourism Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala called on the private sector to increase investment in the tourism industry. Olgasailev village is among 44 villages from 32 countries that were recognized by the World Tourism Organization UNWTO during the 2021 General Meeting in Madrid, Spain. The Tourism Cabinet Secretary encouraged other community projects across the country to adopt a sustainability model as well as leverage on global platforms like the UNWTO to showcase the contribution they make in enriching the tourist experience. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
Now, the National Irrigation Authority has facilitated the rehabilitation of 15 earth dams, the latest serving the 4 wards of Mwingi West, with the aim of providing water for domestic use and irrigation. Area leaders say plans are underway to increase this number in order to boost food security and encourage farming in arid and semi-arid areas.
The rehabilitated dams were constructed in 1920 during the colonial era and have not been in use for decades so far. The National Irrigation Authority notes that each dam has a capacity of 80,000 cubic meters and will provide at least 80 million liters of water for the locals at a time.
This is a dam which is going to accumulate over 80,000 cubic meters, and it is going to help more than 5,000 households.
Kuanzia mwezi wa 4 hii damu itakuwa na maji na watu watakuwa wanafaidika sana kwa kulima na kunywa maji.
If we look at the Big Four agenda, irrigation is at the center of the Big Four. Because the first agenda is food and nutrition security. You give somebody water, they have enough food for their use.
The National Irrigation Authority says the latest dam at Nzawa will have a cattle trough for livestock and a drop point for locals to use for domestic use and irrigation.
Cost of the dam is 19.8 million, and we are happy with the progress of works that we've seen here. Our call to the people of this area and the beneficiaries is once we finish this water pan and harvest water, they use it for the sole purpose of irrigation.
National Irrigation Authority Communication Manager Dan Zonzo challenged locals to use the water resource from the dams for food production. Locals have lauded the initiative, saying they will no longer have to trek kilometers in search of water.
Water pans comes to support those who don't have natural sources of water, like rivers or those who are not near lakes that can be used for irrigation. And therefore, our duty is to ensure we avail water to these people, to Kenyans, from all walks of this country, to empower them and undertake food production so that they can be self-sustainable.
Reporting for Prime Edition, my name is Hibak Said.
The fishing community of Lake Naivasha will not be subjected to the annual fishing ban this year, despite the dwindling stock at the lake. Nakuru County Governor Lee Kenyanjui says massive restocking will replace the annual ban in a move that is aimed at minimizing job losses.
Last year, fish prices in Lake Naivasha dropped by 50% as fishermen grappled with limited markets due to lockdowns and closure of bars and restaurants. However, after the curfew and other COVID-19 restrictions were lifted, the lake has witnessed increased fishing activities that has seen the stock dwindle. Despite this, the county government is adamant that it will not reintroduce a fish ban as a means to restock the lake.
Kabla ya kufunga lake miezi 2 miezi 3, wacha county tumie pesa zake, tunaenda tunanunua fingerlings, tunakuja tunalete kwa lake, ili kila wakati watu waweze kujimudu kimaisha.
The devolved unit intend to curb illegal fishing and undertake massive restocking to increase fish volumes in the lake.
Tajiri wa Naivasha ni hii lake. There is no Naivasha without the lake, because the hotels will not be there, the flowers will go. Na population ya Naivasha ile inategemea kule ni kubwa sana.
This is the latest attempt yet to restock the lake, after last year's attempt by the national government to increase the stock by introducing 100,000 fingerlings in the lake. Lake Naivasha produces 2,287 metric tons of fish annually. However, the declining fish stock in the lake will further increase the fish deficit in the country that currently stands at an average of 350,000 metric tons.
Now, 1 in every 61 organizations globally was impacted by a ransomware attack each week, with those in Africa experiencing the highest number of attacks in 2021 across 5 surveyed regions. According to a report by global IT security firm Checkpoint Software Technologies, across Africa, the average increased by 13% in 2021.
According to the Communications Authority of Kenya, Kenya faced the second highest number of cyber attacks in Africa after Nigeria, with 32.8 million attacks in the first 6 months of 2021, indicating that the country is increasingly targeted as internet penetration and internet device availability grows. Statistics from Checkpoint Technologies further shows that organizations in Africa continue being hardest hit, with the region suffering the second highest volume of cyber attacks last year at an average of 1,353 weekly attacks per organization, followed by Latin America with 1,118 weekly attacks per organization. The final 2 regions of Europe and North America recorded the least cybercrime with 670 and 503 weekly attacks per organization respectively. The report states that the education sector experienced the highest number of cyber attacks with an average of 1,605 attacks per organization weekly, an increase of 75% from 2020. The government and military sectors had 1,136 attacks per week, a 47% increase, followed by the communication industry that had 1,079 attacks, a 51% increase. However, experts say to safeguard against these constant attacks, organizations should seek a single solution that can cover all attack surfaces and vectors, apply security patches, ensure up-to-date and maintain security patches across all systems and software, segment and apply strong firewall and IPS safeguards between the network segments, enhance user awareness. Currently, organizations grapple with cost implications related to cybersecurity as cyber criminals become more sophisticated in their approach. Alan Auko, Prime Edition.
Well, thank you, Alan Alko, for that story. As we come to a close, the latest update from Kenya Power, which says that KETRACO is experiencing or working to resolve the fault that affected the Suswa Embakasi power line, saying normal electricity supply will resume as soon as KETRACO's technical team completes the ongoing repair work. So some of these areas have not yet received power supply, include Embakasi, Kitengela, Athi River Industrial Area, parts of Langata, as well as parts in the CBD, Hurlingham, Syokimau and Westlands. Well, that is how we wrap up business news for tonight. Richard Mbunga is up next with the sports update. My name is Caroline Jenga. Have a good night.
Oh my goodness, heaven forbid that you become their stepmother. The boys would be better off on their own.
Please, Madam Sir.
You want to stop me? You're wrong.
Wait, stop the van, stop!
Wait, don't go.
I'm sorry, Danielle. I'm sorry. Wait.
What's going on?
I'm sorry, but Mariela's going to stay with us. Come here, darling. Why are you doing this, Leonardo?
For me, you are the one to blame for my daughter's death.
I did not kill her.
But you are the one responsible for everything that happened.
And when that day comes, I swear I am going to kill him with my own two hands. Lying heart.
Fue sembrando el veneno y la ambición.
Oh, good evening. Glad to have your company for KBC Sports with me, Richard Munga. Now, National Rugby Sevens Vice Captain Jeff Loch is looking forward to a successful outing as the 2021-22 Sevens World Series continues, with the Spanish round taking place in Malaga, Spain from the 21st to 23rd of January this year. Elsewhere, the Kenya National Paralympic Committee held its classification process today at the Nyayo National Stadium, with over 200 athletes taking part. Loch is part of the 13-man Shujaa squad to Spain, which sees the return of Vincent Onyala, who missed out on the opening two rounds in Dubai. Shujaa is in Pool D for the Malaga tournament and will begin their campaign with a clash against Canada on Friday, 21st January, before taking on Wales the same day. They will complete their pool clashes with a match against France a day later. Meanwhile, the Kenya National Paralympic Committee held its classification process today at the Nyayo National Stadium, with over 200 athletes taking part. The committee looks forward to commencing the Commonwealth Games 2022 pre-qualifiers tomorrow at Kasarani. Top athletes in the pre-qualifiers will be selected to participate in the Commonwealth Games qualifying events that run until May 2022. Elsewhere, national men's volleyball team middle blocker Simon Kipkorir Kosirai has joined Saudi Arabia's Al Ibtasim for the 2021-2022 season. Kipkorir joins the Saudi Arabian side from reigning Kenya Volleyball Federation League champions GSU. The GSU captain is the latest player to turn professional after Mike Ochemos, who plays for Melodia in Tunisia, Enoch Mogeni, who turns out for Smuha of Egypt, and Abir Chirchir, who plays for Grand Nancy in France. And in other matters, former Harambee Stars player and Tusker FC coach Robert Matano has called upon the Ministry of Sport to emulate what other countries are doing by involving sports legends in the running of sports federations. Speaking during ex-Harambee Stars players' training ahead of their friendly match in Uganda, Matano hailed the legends and urged more legends to join the squad.
Matano stated that the poor performance of Federation here is viewed as a result of failure to elect leaders who are aware of the challenges the players are going through, which discourages the athletes. He called upon the inclusion of retired players in the leadership, as it is one of the ways to solve the problems that have plagued the sport in the country.
Everything has its own time. This is our time to come together. It has been very difficult to come together. But we have seen what was happening around us in football, and we are seeing that we can try to solve this problem of football because we are in football.
His remarks were echoed by Twaha Mubak, who explained that sports persons are open-minded and will choose leaders based on their performance. Twaha made the remarks during a training session for the retired Harambee Stars players, preparing for 2 friendly matches against retired Uganda national team players, where he also gave a 200,000 Kenya shilling sponsorship.
Nafikiri sisi tumetaka kushikana na hawa legends kwa sababu tuna imani wao ndio wataweza kuinua mpira wa Kenya. Wana uwezo, wana ujuzi, kuna players ambao hata wamecheza professional na ile experience yao na ujuzi wao inahitajika kubuild mpira wetu.
The friendly matches will be played in Kampala on the 26th and 30th of this month. Meanwhile, the annual Kothbiro football tournament was held today, where Wenyeji United played Wenyeji Youth, while Borussia took on Biafra Kamaliza.
Kota inafaa kwa next week, tukiangalia last 16 Saturday, lakini tumeangalia tunaweza next weekend ama next hiyo weekend hiyo nyingine. Finali bado hatujamua, italingana kulingana vile tumepanga logistics na pia vile availability wa guest wetu.
Daniel Mwendwa for Prime Edition Sport.
Now, Salzburg 08 forward Ibrahima Kone netted the only goal of the game as Mali made a winning start to their Africa Cup of Nations Group F with a win over 2004 champions Tunisia. Kone held his nerve soon after the restart after halftime to fire Mali ahead from the penalty spot after a handball from Elias Shkiri, who was attempting to block Boubacar Koyate's shot, which looked to be heading wide. In another match, 2-time champions Ivory Coast will get their Group D campaign underway when they clash against Equatorial Guinea.
Penalty. It's a handball. Koyate's attempt handled inside the area, and Mali have the chance to open the scoring from the spot early in the second half through Ibrahima Kone up against the debutant Bashir Ben Said. Ibrahima Kone, left-footed, scores, sending the...
Well, ending the match that just ended minutes ago, really.